when Simple tweeted, "Hey at ESL, wake up and tell your employees to remember what professionalism is, terrible communication with the teams and with the shit hotel." I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical. It's all a bit vague, you know? Then I opened the replies, and holy shit, what the fuck am I looking at? Why didn't you open with this? Well, that's because surprisingly enough, Simple's problem wasn't the mold or the ants. His actual problem was that the players were promised separate hotel rooms for practicing and general living. By the way, this is a big thing for players, and it's something the CSPPA fought for. ESL and DreamHack have committed to maintaining their current standard, which includes travel and accommodation for 7 members per team and private practice rooms in the player hotel. Simple claims that the hotel forced players to settle for a single room for both practicing and general living. The hotel even said, Simple had 2 rooms, one for gaming and one for living, but the hotel soon got overbooked with other gamers, so they asked him to vacate that room. That is when he posted the tweet and images to social media. But that's the problem. This goes against the Event Minimum Standards Agreement. It's 100% on ESL to make sure the hotel meets the minimum standards. And from what the hotel said, it looks like ESL didn't properly communicate to the hotel how many rooms they'd be needing. Now, ESL is not at fault because the ceiling is moldy. His problem is that ESL aren't pulling their weight enough with the hotel, so shit actually gets fixed. Except, the Flying DJ claims that Simple didn't tell ESL anything until the tweet went live, and the hotel claims that Simple never brought up anything with them either. Also, we are working with the hotel to identify how that specific room developed mold issues. Why is ESL assembling a mold investigation task force? Since when does ESL specialize in mold? So how does the hotel respond to this? Maltese Hotel says CS Gamer spent 3 weeks refusing for his room to be cleaned. What the fuck? A Maltese hotel has hit back at a professional gamer who complained about mold and insects in his room, saying he failed to mention that he spent 3 weeks in the hotel, eating, drinking and ordering takeout, while also refusing for his room to be cleaned. Hotel management said that Simple checked into the hotel on 19th of August and spent 21 days with a Do Not Disturb sign hanging on his doorknob. It got to the point where the hotel was leaving linens outside of his door and sent him a letter asking him to allow them to clean his room. To this, he not only refused, but went to tell staff not to enter his room under any circumstance. According to the management, prior to Simple's arrival, there were no mold or insects in that room.
Good. Big selling feature. We want to make it clear at our hotel there were no insects or mold prior to him entering the room. 5 stars.
Upon entering the room, they found that it was a mess, with food remnants throughout the room. They also claimed that throughout his stay, he would leave food in the corridors of the hotel. The hotel says that upon hearing about the mold, they rectified the problem within 15 minutes. Well, of course they fucking did. He went public. These are some pretty big claims, so what was Simple's response? Dirty hotel equals dirty lies. He denies gathering food across his room. Good for him. He outright refutes the claim about there not being any mold prior to his arrival, adding that the room was cleaned on the day he arrived. Now, this is a tough one. The hotel says there wasn't any mold before Simple arrived, but Simple is adamant that the mold was always there. And it turns out Simple didn't refuse cleaning his room.
I talked to a couple of people about this when I was doing the rounds on the other story. And I think what Simple had said was, don't go into the gaming room under any circumstances. Not the living room, the gaming room. Because he didn't want people to fuck with his settings, didn't want people to get near the computer, didn't want anything to get took. That's reasonable. That's a reasonable request.
This of course makes sense. You don't want someone knocking on your door while in the middle of practice. And there's likely very little cleaning needed if it's just using the room for practice and not much else. Mold develops within 24 to 48 hours of water exposure. There is no scientific way to determine the age of mold, so they both could be telling the truth here. It could be that the hotel staff checked the room, made sure it was clean, but by the time Simple arrived, there was mold. The hotel is implying that the mold came from Simple's gamer lifestyle, but the source is obviously the air vent. Unless Simple crawled up in there and hotboxed the air duct. I don't see how it could be his fault. He may have helped the issue along by staying in his room all day, but the air vent should be able to handle that. The hotel claims that Simple's room was littered with food and drinks, while also claiming he left his garbage in the corridor, so which one is it? Why would he do both? I'm not even implying he didn't. I am genuinely curious if perhaps at one point he couldn't even be bothered to walk to his door to throw out his garbage. There doesn't seem to be a concrete explanation by the hotel where the extra humidity came from. Was it food and drinks? Was it the PC? Was Simple just really sweaty? The hotel said that the mold was rectified through cleaning and painting within 15 minutes, so I think it's safe to say they didn't check for leaks or bad insulation in the air duct. Simple does own up to leaving food in the corridors, saying, "The only thing I did was leave the used package outside the door so it wouldn't stink, so they could pick it up and throw it away. I feel like everyone do it in every hotel." Now, what he's saying is technically true. I don't like the fact that this is a thing, but it is a very common thing at that. The logic is essentially that hotels want you to use as many of their internal services as possible. They want you to go to the hotel restaurant, call up room service.
Buffalo, please, buffalo.
You're usually not allowed to cook food, and if you get food delivered from an app like Uber Eats, you run into a bit of a problem. Hotel trash cans are tiny. They are there to remind you that this is a hotel and you shouldn't accumulate any garbage during your stay. AKA, use room service for all of your needs. If you order room service, it's fine to leave the tray outside of your door once you're finished. In fact, hotels encourage this. But if you order pizza from another place and leave the box outside of your door, the hotel gets a bit annoyed. This is all to say, I know it's tradition, and hotels usually look past this, but just walk the 100 or so meters to the nearest garbage bin. It's not too difficult. And don't leave fucking diapers outside of your door. Be the change you want to see in people. As for the hotels, if they don't want this happening, they need to communicate better, because a lot of people who stay at hotels seem to think this is policy, while a lot of hotel staff imply it is not. Just put up signs. Anyway, Simple ended the statement saying, "Tomorrow, all of your lies will come out. If this upset you so much, then you should finally understand that not everyone will be silent about your shady actions." Tomorrow comes around and Simple says, "Resolved."
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
So, who was in the right or wrong here? Well, Robs tweeted out, "I agree, this hotel sucks, so Simple wins." But if you believe in karma, the universe has decided the winner to be ESL, because the same day this issue was put to rest, Simple started lagging out during an ESL match on LAN. This caused Navi to be worse off economically for one round.
But they're chasing one whole side of the room, basically. they're chasing. Look, that's going to make it very difficult. All right. Well, let's go elsewhere with our thoughts for a while, guys.
And made it so Simple didn't have a chance to clutch 1v2, possibly a 1v1 if it didn't lag out.
Hoping that they realize it and don't chase Simple. Just let this lag out, let this happen.
Guys, if not luck, we will destroy them 61. 61. Trust me, 16-1.
Apparently, this was a semi-known exploit that Valve hasn't gotten around to fixing yet, so it was pretty much out of ESL's hands in that sense.
Wait. How is it only those accounts? There used to be an exploit where you can just freeze any Steam game if you just have the person's Steam profile. I played on stream, my game kept crashing and crashing and crashing.
Do you want us to play every round with everyone?
I don't want to play anything. I honestly just have to play. And I understand that, but they're trying to force it. What do they have?
Solution is to play tomorrow from this score. At least tomorrow.
But I mean, you didn't fix how we can play it, so we still need to stop now. Yes, I understand.
I don't hear your voice, sorry. I don't even know who I talk to.
Oh, default knife, different account. No skins. Chat, this is weird. This feels different. I wanted to lend Brokey for the major my RVP. He said, I don't want it. Everything needs to be in place. Everything needs to be the same as in practice. All the people on Navi, almost, I think 3 people, have default skins right now. That is fucked.
If ESL were proactive, that wouldn't have happened. But instead, they're not proactive because they can't even get the fucking basics right.
They got their revenge against Simple without having to burden any of the blame. In the end, Navi won 2-1, and due to the ridiculousness of it all, Simple was laughing, Carmack was laughing, and the guy who used the exploit and bet on those 2 rounds against Navi was laughing all the way to the bank.
You can't leave food out for a second, or you're getting motherfucking ants. You're getting motherfucking ants all over your shit. Like, don't ever fall asleep with food in your hand with the door open in Atlanta, or you are ants.